Hello everyone and welcome back to CodeBase, your number one channel for learning on tech skills. Now, in our last video we touched CSS tables, but in this video we are going to enter CSS transition. Now, before we proceed, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Also, do remember that we take on any tech project you might have. So if you have a tech project, graphic design project, UI UX project, data analysis project, whichever you have, please feel free to contact us and we'll help you out with it. So without further ado, let's get started with the video. And in today's class, we are going to be touching the CSS transitions. So in our last class, we did CSS table where we designed this funny looking table right here. Alright, but in this class, what we are going to touch is the CSS transition. So we won't need anything from this table. So let's get started with it. So let's head to our VS Code. And I am not going to delete this table here. I'm just going to leave it be. You don't need to delete that at all. Instead, I'm going to come down here and create a div section. So I'll say div.box. Okay. Then this my div.box. I am going to put a simple text there. I'll say this box will animate. Let's just put something as simple as that. And then we'll head to our CSS file. Let's head to the CSS file and style it up. So we're going to target the class called box.box. Let's give it the basic features. We'll give it a width, let's say 300 pixels, a height of maybe 42 pixels, and background color. I'm going to say background red. Let's do something simple like this. And if you come and check it in the live server of your browser, this is what we should have right here. Okay, this is what we have right here. Let me make this the text of the box come to the center. I'm going to come here and say padding, top and bottom 12 pixels, left and right 18 pixels, and that should be okay for me. Okay, good. Now, the work of CSS transition, it gives an animation-like effect to your element. That is what CSS transition does. It gives an animation-like effect. And what does that mean? You can use it to do simple effect or simple, stylish effects in your website that makes your website more interactive and more fun. So if you come to apply the CSS transition, all you have to do is target the element by either the class name, the ID name, or the tag name, or however you want to target it. That's what you just need to do. Target the element specifically. So what I'll do is I'll come here to this box and I will give it transition. Okay. Now under this transition property, we have a lot of it. We have transition duration, transition property, transition timing function, transition delay, transition behavior, and all these other things that are here, as you can see in the VS Code. But let's touch the basic ones. Let's start with the transition duration. Transition duration determines how long the transition will last. It can be 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 2 seconds, even as short as 1 second, or even 0.1 second. That means you can say let the transition last as long as 0.7 seconds, which is less than a second. Okay, so let's make it 3 seconds so you guys will see the effects that will apply slowly. Then after, you target the transition property. Now what this thing simply means that you have to target a particular CSS property to apply transition to. Okay, it can be the width, the height, the background color itself. It can even be the margin and the padding. But the main thing is that the way transition works is that you must target a certain CSS property to apply the transition to. So let's target it. So let me say I'll target in this case, let me target the width of my shape. Let's target the width. The next thing you give it is transition timing function. In this timing function, I'll just give it linear, something simple as linear. Let's not stress ourselves much with it. Then I'll give it transition delay. That means how long should it take before the transition starts. I'll say 2 seconds. The transition should not start after 2 seconds. Now here's the thing about the transition. Transitions needs a trigger. The transition needs a trigger to work. You can't just use transition like that. That's why I say it gives like animation-like effect. And the best trigger to use for your transition is the pseudo class. Okay, it doesn't just work like that. For it to actually work, you must give it a trigger and an after effect. That means what should the transition do to to that particular element. Now we've said that the transition should last 3 seconds. If you target only the width property, it should flow in a linear format, and the delay is 2 seconds. But what is the actual change that will be made to that element? That's where the pseudo class comes in. So to do that, what you have to just do is say maybe box hover. Dot box here. Dot box hover. Then in this dot box hover, we will now come and target the width. We'll target the the width property. The reason why we're targeting this width is because that is the transition property we targeted here. So all I have to just do is say width, instead of 200 pixels, let's make it 150 pixels. And if we come back to the browser, we load. Now remember, hover is when our cursor touches it. So let's put our cursor on it. We count 1, 2, and you can see what the box is doing now. You can see that it's clearly shrinking. So this is the work of transition. It gives an animation-like effect. That is all. But the transition needs a pseudo class in order to trigger it. And with this, you can do a lot of stuff with your transition. Your transition can be applied to buttons, can be applied to pictures, background images, color. You can come here and say, okay, let's change this transition property from width to what? Color. I say color, sorry. Background. Okay, let me come and make this background here, background color. You can't target the background property in particular, you must target the background color instead. Then I'll come here and say background color should be blue. And if you come back here, put your cursor on it and wait 1, 2, and you can see how the color changes over time. So this is the beauty of transition there. It just gives an animation-like effect. Now let's apply it to a real life stuff. Let's start our transition. Let's start up a button using transition. Okay. So I'm going to leave this box here. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to do a button. This is my body tag. Oh, sorry, I didn't know. I did this outside the body tag. That's wrong. Sorry. Put it back here. And that's all. Now we're going to come down here, we'll put a BR tag, then I'm going to do a button tag. I'll say button, I'll give it a class, and I'll say effect. Okay, just click. Let's just give it click, and I'll say effect button. And this is what we should have in the browser here. This little effect button here, but let's adjust it. So I'm going to come down here, dot class. I'll give it margin auto. Then I will give it what is called it again? Sorry, what do you call it again? Okay, let me just say padding 12 pixels top and bottom, 18 pixels left and right. I'll say font size should be 16 pixels, and the color of my text should be white. That is hashtag #F. And if I come back here, this should be, hold on. Oh, I wrote dot class, sorry, dot click, ICK. That's a mistake I made. Exactly. So, but I'm not done with this effect button. I'm still going to style it up more. I'm going to give it border, none. I'll say background color should be hashtag 2C107, right? No, that's not correct. C5500. Yeah, no, I don't know. Let's just use hashtag 000. Then I'm going to pick a random color from there. Let's pick a green color, a dark green color. Good. Then now this one we did here is the long form of transition, whereby you have to call out each of the transition variables in order to apply the changes you want to give to it. But there's actually a shorthand format you can use. All you have to do is come here and say transition. Then all I have to now do is call out the property. I'll just say transition, target the background color. I'll say let the background color, and I'll say okay, let's make it happen in the duration should be 3 seconds, and it should the flow should be what? Linear. That is all. And if I come back here and I say dot click hover, I'll say background color should be hashtag 000. Then I'll come here and give the background color blue. Okay, let's give it this one instead. Forgot to give this to position relative. Then we come back here. Let's reload. Then if I put my cursor on my button, you can see that the color has changed, and if I moved it, the color is what will return back to green. Now this is actually kind of slow. You can't do this kind of thing in a live site. I only made my duration very long so that you guys can see the effect. But when you're in a live site, that is when you're doing it for an actual site, you have to make it quicker. So what I'll suggest is that in this your duration here, put something like 0.7 seconds. That is, the transitions will apply, the transition should apply in less than a second. That means 7 milliseconds. So if you come back to your browser and check it, it applies almost immediately, and the user gets to notice it. It can be 0.5 seconds, it can be 0.3 seconds. The main thing is the user might not get to notice it, but it adds a little more flair to your website. And transition is pretty easy. You can apply it to anything. You can target any particular CSS property, even your font size. You can target it. I can come here and say, okay, this thing, instead of targeting here, target what? Font size. You can target your border, you can target your font size, you can target any CSS property. I'll come here and say font size. I'll say font size here in the hover, and I'll give it 42 pixels, which is way bigger than it should be. And if you come back to your browser here, put your cursor on it, what do you see? Because the font size have to increase, the button also have to increase as well. So you can see now, transition is very easy. You can try it out on your own. You can apply to any of the CSS properties and all that. So with that, we've come to the end of the video for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. And I want to apologize to all our viewers for the long break we took. We apologize for it. Truly, there's been you guys know how things happened, but we're back and we're going to keep on running. We're going to keep on educating you guys. So please stay with us and keep on watching. And again, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel so you'll be notified when we post our new videos. Also, we also take on projects. Please do remember this. So if you have any website job, UI UX job, graphic design job, data analysis job, Android development, whatever you have, please feel free to contact us and we'll help you take it on. Once again, this is Codebase and I bid you all a good day.